Good afternoon, beauty. Rudy left me a list before he left this morning of things you'd like to eat. Thank you. One more thing. Anytime you want it, I also got you a strawberry cake. You can come watch TV with me if you want. It's been a long time since I last had the privilege of entertaining a lady. So how are things between you and... Things between me and Jeanette have been going smoothly, although earlier this week I wouldn't have been so sure. Why would that be? Dane's return. Tell me you're joking. That sick creep. Why? Well, he's not technically sick for wanting to be there for her while her grandma is in the hospital fighting a respiratory infection. And you believe that? Rudy, he's... Yes, by your definition. Because you forget that even though he's her ex, she has some ties to him due to the marriage and the family and just... Remember? So what if they're not related by blood? They're still... It should bother you that he obviously has intentions to get Jeanette. Yes, I know. Of course, it bothers me. At least a little. Not as much as it bothered me at first. It got a little bit out of hand, but now I'm certain he knows he can't get her back. She loves me. How much out of hand? It was enough out of hand that we fought over her like children. When the stress of our immaturity was too much for her, she said something awful to Dane, and I came to my senses too late. Being in a relationship with a girl doesn't necessitate vilifying her ex-boyfriend. It may not be healthy in some cases for her to be friends with them, but in this case... Well, what does that make me? To stand by and watch her sever her ties with Dane, even though they were involved earlier. What did you do then? I encouraged her to apologize to him and stayed there while she went to apologize in person because I knew that I can trust her, and I know that Dane wouldn't do anything. Rudy, that is ridiculously haphazard. Trusting is one thing, but in your words... They were involved at some point. Would I have let Lucille talk to you alone if you had been in a relationship before ours started? Absolutely not. That sounded very much like you can easily picture that. Is that why you've been upset with me so long? Listen, Drake, I guess you've not had the courage to ask Lucille herself, but even she would tell you we didn't meet long before you met at Jeanette's party at DizzGo's. I saw you approach her at the table that night. You slipped some sort of note after talking hush-hush for like 10 minutes, and the way she looked at you that night... Drake, please. I don't see what's so funny about this. What's so funny is that whatever you think you saw or thought it meant, it couldn't be further from what it was. Then what was it? We were just exchanging numbers. It's not what it sounds like. Let me tell you what it sounds like. All my life you've been my biggest role model, and throughout the years I've been told how you stood up to the sleazy, rotten ex-boyfriend of my mom and warned him that he better not harm her ever again. You had prompting by Violet, but still you were my hero. And then... You would explain to me how you planned to be Violet's hero, and you were waiting for her. She didn't feel that way. And then your Cherry Shirts campaign taught me something, and it was something I aspired to be also. You told me how you didn't want to be like Husky. And then the time Tessa kissed you, you told me how strange it was. You warned me not to kiss someone you don't love because it feels scary being kissed by someone who isn't sure how they feel about you. Years later, Violet set you up with women whom you never kiss and never take home with you. You tell me this proudly because you strongly believe it is so wrong to lead someone on. Probably because you felt Tessa did. All of these things taught me important lessons, and I respected you for them. Then one night, I went to your house, and you have a girl who is with you who is my age. You obviously have been doing something with her, and then you claim you're not even in a relationship. And I don't know, I start to think, he's almost 30, he spent his high school years without a girlfriend, maybe he's making up for it, or maybe he's been into younger girls for many years, and boasting to be a cherry makes him more attractive to teenagers. After all, it is highly suspicious for someone you've known on your life to suddenly break all their own rules. And you remained secretive about her. Then her party rolls around, some best friend of hers is there, same age as her, and you're exchanging looks, and she keeps looking at you. Then eventually I saw you approach her when I went to get us something from the snack bar. I know you met through Jeanette. I know that she tried to use love potion gummy bears that were soaked in alcohol, saying that it was because I keep judging Rudy for losing control. Like she wanted me to lose control, to see what it's like for you to feel that way. But it sounded to me like she was wanting me to be like you with her. That's all I know. Where should I start? Those are a lot of valid points. I was saving myself for the one. I thought that it was Violet, but no. She has been waiting for Pete Pierce. Oh my gosh, that guy whose wife abused her. Him too, most likely. You think that's positive? He's much older than her, but it was only a matter of time. Anyway, yes, when I met Jeanette, I broke all my rules. I wanted her so badly. I cornered her into pushing me away, basically. It was frightening to see that I'd been missing her in my life for years. And then to think I'd be losing her forever to someone who had been my best friend. Maybe Lucille didn't want to make you feel weird about it, but when you met that night, I knew I needed to set you up together. I had met her only one other time before that night, the day I met Lucille. She was over at Jeanette's house, and I wanted Lucille to go home so I could be alone with Jeanette. She met you the same day you attempted to... Yes, I was not on my best behavior when I met her. I was a little frustrated that Jeanette had been ignoring me and desperate for her, and when I met Lucille, I tried to make Jeanette feel jealous by flirting mildly with her friend. Again, at DizzGo's, I was still upset and jealous of Dane, and I flirted with Lucille to make Jeanette jealous. But I was miserable. So when I went over to her table and exchanged phone numbers, it was so that I could dictate my apology letters to her over the phone for Dane and Jeanette. There was even one for Tessa. I didn't say anything remotely scandalous to her over the phone to meet her in private or do anything with her. However, I did set you up together because I saw you took an interest in her. And you do kind of look related to me, you know. I am your uncle, after all. Lucille does not love me. She loves you, Drake. I am aware she had a slight crush on me, but I didn't encourage it. Flirting is encouraging it. Well, I set her up with you, didn't I? Yes. You did set me up with her. See, don't you feel better now? So how are things with you and Lucille? You didn't answer. Oh, what was that, Drake? She's going to a party tonight. I told her I didn't feel like it was a place that I would go to, and there's this guy who's going to be there who gives me the creeps. He stayed behind a few grades, and he always seems to be watching Lucille. I thought she didn't even notice, but we had a fight recently, and I think it might be over. She told me she's made up her mind about going without me. Case invited her. Case? That name is familiar somehow. Well, I can call Mag and tell her we'll be running a little late. It's important we get to her house before Case picks her up. Or we can go there if you've got the address. The fight couldn't have been that bad, could it? What was it about? I'm not sure I should tell you. Why not? We've resolved now the thing that you were angry with me for, right? You can tell me. See, it kind of involves you. How so? We've been having the same sort of argument again and again. She wants to get intimate sooner. I want to wait and marry first before then. But instead of understanding that I'm actually respecting her by wanting to wait, she gets offended by it, and I've told her my father never married my mother, and she got pregnant with me while she was in high school. And not to say I'm a mistake, but I'm not going to do that to her. It's just too soon for me. But she mentioned the party to me like, let's go together. And I was like, no, that's a bad idea. I was thinking of the drinking and the drugs that can be at a setting like that. I have always avoided that, and she has said before that she's never been. But now that we're seniors, she's saying things like, what if she regrets never having been to one? I was upset and worried, and I said, you want to go? You can get me drunk so you can seduce me like you tried to at Rudy's party. Did you get seduced by him before we met? Is that why you want to so badly? Then she started crying and said, of course not, I'm a virgin. I've told you I'm a virgin. You don't believe me. Before I could console her, she left. On her way out, she said, Case invited me today in between classes. I guess I'll just go with him then. So I messed up. I've lost her. Hey, Drake, you remember when you said I was your hero? That I was your role model? So you want me to confront him like you did for my mom? My thoughts almost precisely, Drake. That's good, you know me well. You have an advantage I didn't. And what would that be? I was too late. Even if it embarrasses her for you to swoop in and save her from that guy, or other activities she'd regret later, it would make you her hero. You don't have to be like me, Drake. In 10 years, no matter what happens in the future, you'd still be able to look back and know you did something to rescue Lucille on this night from a dangerous party with Case. Oh. Why did your tone suddenly change? I know where I've heard that name now. I've likely just found a big solution in your problem, Drake. Could you call Violet for me? Put it on speakerphone? Why Violet? What does she have to do with this? She has always used the last name Pierce as a fake name to protect them, and she didn't change their own first names. The 2-year-old she babysat. His name is Case. You were born within the year he was 2, and you've said he was held back a few grades, didn't you? Hi, it's Drake. And Rudy. That's great. Rudy, how's the visitation going? Not there yet, but I have a favor to ask you. It's kind of off topic. Sure. Well, you don't even know what I'm about to ask. Yeah, but I'm sure it's not too difficult. Violet, how old is Case now? 21, why? And is he in college? No, he had to repeat a few grades. Why? Drake has a potential rival for Lucille at the moment, matching the age criteria, and with the same name exactly, and what are the odds? None. That's what I thought. Good thing. Why would that be a good thing? He's been going through a rough phase. He's aware of the relationship that's developed between his father and I, and he disappears sometimes. But his father isn't worried because his son always returns looking healthy, fit, and he's just been at this or that friend's house. Oh. Do you happen to know which friend's house he's going to tonight exactly? This or that? Jamie Gaffers. This kid's not just playing games with your head, is he? No, I looked it up. It was suspicious to me, too. But I can text you the address and the number. Okay. Want me to call? Yep, go ahead. Hello, Jamie Gaffers. Calling about the party tonight? Yeah. My girlfriend invited me, and I got confused about the details. I will need them so I know when to pick her up. No prob. 8:15 tonight, but earlier's fine too. Will you need the address? I have that information here. I just need to know the time. No problem either. It's about 1 o'clock now. The time of the party, I meant. 8:15? 8:15. It's going to be 8:15. Is that all? Yes, thank you. No problem. See you there. I can't believe this is really happening. By the way, you told me over the phone this was going to be my graduation gift, but it's a few months from graduation for me. I can tell you that it is something you've always wanted. I'm not really sure what that is. We'll get there soon. I didn't even pack for a day at the beach, so you know that's not something to surprise me with. I know how you love the beach, Drake. That's not where we're going. Why would I suggest a beach trip without our girlfriends anyway? Of course not. But where is Jeanette today? Don't you typically spend time with her on the weekend? She's spending some quality time with your grandpa Husky. No! Oh, gross, Rudy. Why'd you leave her with him? So pervy. He's come a long way, Drake. Therapy sessions and appointments have really been paying off. I would never let Lucille meet that dirty old... Yes, someday you will want to introduce the love of your life to your family. Even if you don't know how to expect it will go, you'll have to push your pride aside long enough to say, I want to let you into my world completely and forever, even the areas occupied by regret, shame, or loss. Maybe you're not there yet, but I hope one day you will be. No, I'm not there yet at all. The very first second he says anything even remotely flirtatious or inappropriate, I would say, remember those earplugs I told you about earlier? Here they are. I would have totally said the same thing too, not long ago, but then my mind changed. And I decided I'm ready for her to know everything, and I think with how long I've waited to find her, it's about time. Rudy, will you take a moment to remember something? Do you remember the last time we went to DizzGo's? Let me rephrase. The last time we went and brought him, and every time he goes there. Technically, Drake, he never is rude to any of the customers, is he? No. And has he ever left with one? I don't know. My dad has greatly improved. Just because women flocked to him helplessly doesn't change the fact that he knows how to treat them now. I'd hate to say this, but that's the problem. He uses charm and he knows how to make them love him. He certainly knows how to treat a woman well. I watched all my mom's friends goggle him. It's like they're mesmerized. I mean, have you seen Violet around him? Violet's a unique woman. The things she experienced made him just her type. He didn't encourage that. I'm almost positive he's seen at least some of my mom's friend at some point in private. And definitely Violet. It's how they act. Husky seems to be most women's type. Not Jeanette's type. She thinks he's scary. Rudy, all the more reason if she's scared that you shouldn't leave her alone with him. We're less than 5 minutes now from your gift. Are you excited? I have no idea. Knowing you, it could be almost anything. Person you're about to meet. Husky told me that he wanted my permission to re-enter Mag's life and your life, but he deserves to meet you first. Would you agree to to having a meal with him? Wow, sure, yeah. Son, I've seen you before months ago in a parking lot walking while I was about to get into my car. I thought I'd imagined it, that it couldn't really be her. I thought it was impossible for it to be that she had my child, but there was a feeling I had that confirmed it as I saw things in your mannerisms. While the two of you walked into a store, there were mirror images of my own. Hello, my name is... I know. I've heard of you. I wish I had heard of you. Seeing you made me realize how much I have missed in my life. Almost 2 decades of ignorance and regret. I'm so sorry. I want to know you. What's your name, son? Drake. I'm sorry this is so difficult for you. I can't imagine how you're feeling right now, but I can tell you how I feel. I'm so stunned to be here right now. You're a miracle, Drake. I had remembered your mom's father's name, even though I'd never met him. So I looked him up, found his number, and called him. I told him who I was, and he remembered right away, so I was frightened at first that it would be a mistake to contact him. He didn't give me any way to contact you or your mom, but he suggested it would be best to meet Rudy first, and I was scared. Every threat he made to me one day in school came back to me and gave me nightmares. But I feel like I would do anything for just the opportunity of being in your life. I am not here to demand a place in your life because I know I don't deserve it. Even if you reject me as your father right now, forever, I can go home tonight knowing that I have a son, and he seems well adjusted, and he's been brought up well. He's safe and sound. I have a son named Drake whom I'm proud to have. It makes me joyful. I want you to have my information, to have a way to reach me any time, because even if you leave today with anger toward me and have nothing to do with me, I want to do what I can now to be the father you didn't get to have. And I'm leaving it up to you today. If you decide it's not a good idea for Mag to know me, you don't even have to tell her. I would love to be invested in your lives again, though. How you feel about it is most important. Rudy was my hero growing up, so I didn't go without a father role in my life, but I have always wanted to meet you and talk to you. Now that I have, it's so surreal. I don't even know what to say. I feel like it's not my place to tamper with my mom's future by saying yes or no for you about reaching out to her. This is overwhelming for me, but it means a lot to me. I would like to let you be part of my life, but I don't know how much I am comfortable with yet. Thank you. It's kind of weird, though. It feels exactly like how I thought it would be to hear him talking and to be around him. I feel a variety of emotions, mostly positive about it. I'm glad it was a good gift for you, then. Yeah. I'm thinking maybe instead of going to Lucille's house, maybe we should just go ahead to the party. Okay? Sure. Drake, oh thank goodness you're here. It was a huge mistake for me to come here. Tonight was just one stupid disaster after another. The whole time I missed you, and I'm sorry. I wanted to talk to you, but so much was going on. Hi, Dad. Could you tell me why Dane left a text saying he took Jeanette back to her house? Please forgive me, son. I thought she was old enough to drink. I wanted to tell you, I'm sorry about that fight we had earlier. I just didn't feel comfortable bringing it up in front of Rudy. You are the purest girl, and I know you would never hide any secrets from me, but all this time I've been letting it get to me that I saw something in the way you looked at him the night I met you, and I've been thinking, how do I compare to him if you thought he was attractive? It doesn't really matter, though, because you chose me. I won't lose you and what we have to insecurities of mine or parties you want to go to or a case. You haven't lost me, Drake. It did hurt to be accused of having been with Rudy before meeting you, because I have told you all about my life, and I would never keep any secrets from you. But it hurts for other reasons as well. To me, Rudy is almost an acquaintance. When I was told the true nature of Jeanette's friendship with Rudy, I started to see him as right for her the whole time. So if we had, it wouldn't have been something that would have significance compared to the life he would go on to have being with Jeanette. And why would I be in a relationship with someone who didn't see our relationship as significant? I wouldn't. So having thought he was cute didn't mean anything, Drake. You are the one I am in relationship with, not him or anyone else. So tell me about what happened today, and I can tell you how mine has been. On the way to the party, I had to ask if someone could give me a ride, and I didn't really want to ask a guy, but then I realized the only person I knew who was going is Case. I didn't really know him, though, so now I don't think I even will. While seeing stupid things happening around me at the party, I was trying to use my phone to communicate with you, but Case kept laughing, saying I was missing the party. After I said I would like to go home, I got into the car, and then he started racing it around everywhere, and I had just gotten out of it when you came up, and I don't know what I thought I was missing out on parties, but all I could do was think of how much I wished I were with you instead. How was your day? Rudy told me in advance he was giving me a graduation present that was something I have always wanted. He wouldn't say what it was, but I was suspicious. I got to meet my father. Wow. Rudy, Lucille's car ran out of gas. Could you drop us off at the car? By the way, how's Jeanette? I got a text I didn't understand telling me she was brought back to her house, and then I couldn't reach her. I called Husky, and he apologized, saying he didn't know she was old enough to drink. Well, knowing Husky, I'd be suspicious if he told me that. Husky and alcohol are not a good mix. Do you think he was sorry for giving her alcohol, or... I'll call him right now. Dad, you didn't sleep with Jeanette, did you? Okay. He said no, but I don't like the way in which he said it. Do you think he's lying? Technically, he's not, but that doesn't reassure me. Okay, thank you, Rudy, for driving us back to Lucille's car. She's going to drive me back home, then she'll go home. I'll explain it to my mom when we get there. That way you can get to Jeanette quicker. That is the least predictable thing I've ever heard you say, but it's good to know you respect me. Well, today was one unpredictable moment after another for me. The hero I've always seen in you came through for me today. Well, look at you. You saved your girlfriend and restored things between you. Thank you, Rudy. Hey, Tessa, could you please allow us some privacy? Okay. She's still asleep. May I talk to you? Before you tell me anything, what I need to know right now is she hurt? She's not in any permanent pain, but she has a headache. I should be up there with her. Rudy, please, I told you she needs to sleep right now. She's not up to telling you what happened, but I can tell you what I saw. Yes, but I'd rather hear her side of it first. Rudy, I'm trying to do you a favor. I would have wanted to know sooner than suddenly, when I couldn't do anything about it, that she was spending all her time with you back then. My own father is the last person I'd consider a threat. Your dad has issues. Did you forget that? No, I didn't forget that. She was drunk. I know. I called him. He apologized to me, saying he didn't know she was old enough to drink. Will you listen just for 10 minutes, at the most? When I got to your dad's house, either you or him left the door unlocked. I went in, after knocking, of course. When I found them, they were both standing, but Husky was holding Jeanette's dress in his hands, his shirt, while she was standing there sort of slumped against the wall. wearing one of his shirts. He wasn't wearing one. When he noticed me, he looked guilty and quickly said he had to wash her dress and his shirt. He ran off to his washing machine before I could see what was wrong with her dress and his shirt. He said she was drunk. I told him she's 2 years and 4 months shy of being 21. What's creepy is that you know that. Why do you know that? He said it wasn't what it looked like, and he wouldn't have given her alcohol if he'd known, while I got her suitcase and put it in the car. He told me you'd be coming back soon, but I didn't think you would be too trusting if you had seen what it did look like. I asked him to tell you I took her back to her house. If you came back before I could tell you, he agreed, and then I saw the problem. I couldn't change her into pajamas, seeing that she was too drunk to do that herself, and I called Tessa. Tessa understood and came over. Thank you. I think you jumped to the wrong conclusion, at least I hope. I don't think it would have been wise to keep her there with him while she was drunk. There's one more thing that bothered me. He mentioned you were busy doing something he asked if you could do for family during your visit with him. This of course means leaving Jeanette alone with Husky. He then proceeded to serve her wine. Just knowing his past too, it doesn't sound innocent to me at all. Well, this is my own father we're talking about. Yes, I know more than anyone about his problem. I've seen his progress, and I want to believe in his innocence. He's my dad, after all. I want to believe in Jeanette's innocence, but if something has happened, she's not to blame. I would be for leaving her alone with my recovering sex addict father. I know you have good intentions, wanting her to meet him. I know that it shows that you honor your father to trust him, but I don't think he'll feel dishonored by not having your blind faith in him when it comes to your girlfriend. It's possible he'd feel respected just by the insinuation of the opposite, for me to be threatened by him. You know, despite everything, all the hatred and rivalry, you called me for help. In fact, you trusted me enough to ask that I check on Jeanette. Well, I'm sorry about the other night. That it even happened, us trying to outdo each other? Oh, it's okay. You don't have to remind me. It took that for me to understand something important. We're not being fair to her when we behave that way. It's not up to us who she decided she loves. The choice is hers to make. Our competitiveness doesn't impress her. It pressures her into proving her loyalty. She deserves the love of her life, who will be mature enough to not constantly try to prove to her he's better than her ex. I want to be the man she deserves. Let's stop fighting. All right. There is something you didn't take into consideration earlier, Dane. He washed her dress, and we have my dad's shirt. Are you suggesting we hold his shirt hostage for him to tell you what happened? No, I'd almost forgotten you were like that. Think back, though. Do you remember it working when you stole Jeanette's hat and my clothes? Tessa and I were trying to get your attention, so yes, it worked. Long enough for us to then ignore you, because we wanted you to see we didn't care whether or not you approved of us. It has been really hard for me to approve. Tessa does approve, wholeheartedly. By the way, thank you for seeking her assistance. If you had tried anything with Jeanette, the moment I found out would be my instant death, I know. On the other hand, your dad may have actually done something. I think you were greatly mistaken, but it reminds me I do need to call him. Son, will you hear me out now, please? Yes, I just wasn't able to talk to you then. Jeanette woke up kind of late. I served her breakfast, and then she watched TV with me. After a little while, I gave her strawberry cake, a glass of wine to go with it. We went back to watching TV. I saw she was through with her glass before she was even halfway through the slice of cake. Maybe I should have asked her first, but I went to refill it in the kitchen. Then after a while, she started eating the cake more quickly, and I thought maybe she was just nervous. I wasn't trying to make her drunk, but when she became giggly and started confusing me for you, I stopped giving her wine. What do you mean by started confusing me for you? She wanted to talk about that picture of me she saw earlier, holding you when you were a baby. She asked me if I would be that happy to have a baby, and I didn't understand. My answer, I was happy in that picture, just confused her. Then I realized she wanted your answer, but I can't answer for you, so I had to say, I don't know, instead. It seemed like my answer only stressed her out. She had more cake. I didn't want her to cry, so I went up to her. She seemed momentarily to realize who I was, and she said, if Rudy becomes like you at your age, I know I won't have to fear anything when I get older. I asked her why, and she said, because you respect me. I don't know what she meant by that. Many people fear getting older. I don't feel old. Anyway, I was standing there with my hand on her shoulder because I was trying to console her, and her face went flushed and she seemed to be sweating slightly. Jeanette's eyes widened and she moved forward. I thought she was about to fall. I caught her and she threw up. Then she was embarrassed, but she needed to change out of her dress, which was also soiled. So while I can understand that you might be mad at me for this, understand that there was nothing sexual about it at all. I had to support her while helping her out of her dress. Also, I gave her one of my shirts to wear, not because I was being weird. It's just that I thought if she gets ill again, I'd rather she not ruin another one of her dresses. I tried to explain it to Dane when he came in, but as soon as he heard me say she was drunk, he tuned me out and whisked her away. Finding out she wasn't even old enough to drink yet made me feel even worse about it, and I didn't know how to argue against the thought she might do better to be in the comfort of her own home for the time being. Being that you said she was confusing you for me, I think it's better that Dane brought her home for now. No offense, Dad. I think that if I were you, by your logic, if she were to try and kiss me, to refuse the kiss would be like having my son reject his girlfriend. Rudy, Dad, earlier when I asked if you'd slept with Jeanette, your no sounded guilty. Even now, your defensive tone about getting her changed into something clean, it's suspicious sounding to me. Okay, you think I'm hiding something, Rudy. I thought I could handle it. I thought everything was under control, but she kept saying things, wild things, thinking she was talking to you. She said things I never would have thought your girlfriend was capable of even thinking. I didn't want to upset you by saying this. I don't want to generalize girls. It's an old habit, but difficult for me to break. But sometimes it's the quiet ones who say the most insane things when they're drunk. The only way I could think of to quiet her was to sort of go along with it verbally, only, and tell her Husky might be home any moment, and the last thing I want is for that pervert to catch us. She also indirectly flirted with me once by saying that she hopes you will be as attracted to her as she will be to you by the time you're as old as your dad, because she's certain you'll be just as sexy. But Rudy, before you hang up again, it was words, only words. Dad, it was thought and words. If you told me there was no risk of you considering doing something with her while she was saying those things to you, even though she thought you were me, what you just told me would make me think you would be lying. So even though I felt like I was supposed to be there for Drake today, I feel like I shouldn't have ever left Jeanette alone with you. No offense, Dad. None taken. I understand that. We can visit you together, but from now on I can't let you be alone with her if you're attracted to her. Tomorrow, if Jeanette feels better, then we can visit one last day and return your shirt. If not, I'll return it to you another day. Rudy, just know that I would never want anything to come between you and the love of your life. I think you found her. If that meant not letting her see me again, I can live with that, because I know it's taken you such a long time to find her, and that you let her even meet me shows me how important to you she is. I don't want to jeopardize that. I know, but you do have an addiction. I know you've come a long way, but at the same time, it was wrong of me to test you that way. I set you up for temptation. I'm sorry. I'm sorry too, Rudy. You didn't really do anything. True. Dad, you paused at that word. You know what? It's all right. I have to believe you. And most importantly, I have to believe Jeanette. I've not talked to her all day. Dane wanted to talk to me as soon as I got home. I'll let you talk to her now. Good night, son. Good night. I'm so sorry I left you today. I should have realized my dad was the worst person to leave you alone with. Rudy, it's all right. I already feel a lot better than I was feeling. You were with Drake today. I think that sounds important. It was. I was asleep until I heard you talking to Dane. Then I went downstairs and heard some of the conversation while Tessa was sleeping. She woke up, and when she saw me, I told her I was feeling much better. She hugged me and then left soon after Dane left. Will you tell me about your day? I'll tell you, but will you tell me about yours first? I'm just dying to know what happened. Okay, but just know for me, it's really like a strange dream. I don't remember everything very well. I'll tell you what I can remember. We were watching TV, and I wanted to ask where you were, but every time I tried to bring it up, something would happen. He would get me a slice of cake or refill my glass. I didn't like the way the wine tasted. I didn't even know it was wine since I'd never had it before today. I feel a lot better right now, but I remember all the uncomfortable feelings I got from it. My vision was dimmer, sound was almost muffled, the room felt too hot. I felt like a deeper part of me took over, and I wasn't certain if I was awake or asleep. I don't remember specific things that were said, but I remember feeling like you were there, even though you weren't. When I realized it wasn't you I was talking to, it turned from strange to feeling like I was in a nightmare. Your dad seemed kind about it, but then I felt like I was having a panic attack, and he was reaching for my shoulder or neck, but I couldn't tell which, and I got sick all over him. But even though it temporarily helped me, I still felt very unlike myself. Then I remember Dane's face as he was trying to help me get into his car and trying to support me while walking into my house, and he looked terrified. I couldn't stop laughing, and it made him appear even more scared. At some point, he called Tessa, and that's when she came over. And they were both very helpful. How has your day been? I helped reunite Drake with his biological father, and then we picked up Lucille from a party she went to with a boy who might be Pete's son, and her car ran out of gas. When I got text messages from Dane, all I could think about was getting back here to you. I'm glad you were able to reunite Drake with his father. All day you're the only one I wished to be with. Every word I said to him was meant for you, and I'm so happy to be with. You just eased my mind, but your eyes are looking at me like I'm the only one you want. That's because you are. Just being with you, how relaxed I am already, it makes me aware of how uneasy I felt all day. I could melt into a puddle of serenity just looking into your eyes, almost as if I forgot the power you have over me with just one glance. Then let me remind you, let my eyes melt you until you seep into my skin. Husky was right, you say the most insane things sometimes. You inspire me in those moments. Do I make you feel inspired in this moment? Took my uneasiness away. And what about wine? Does it help with your uneasiness? No, not at all. It made me more uneasy. Sometimes, Rudy, when I look at you, I can't believe you're looking at me. And my attraction to you overwhelms me sometimes. Think about who you're talking to, honey. My attraction for you takes control of me most of the time. I get so lost in you. Do you feel uneasy at all? Not at all. Let's return my dad's shirt a different day. Let's sleep in tomorrow.